Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's Amy and
Jim.
Jim. We're here for Make It Mondays for Amy Bachman Sew and Quilt and amysews.com. And today we're both doing something.
Yeah.
Hey, blind hemming. It's probably when somebody buys a new machine, that's the one thing they can never figure out how to fold it, what it's good for. Blind hemming and blind hemming feet are amazing. So that's what we're going to do today is give you some quick tips to help you do better with your blind hemming.
Yep.
Ready? Good. All right.
Oh, it's me.
That's you. That's your turn.
So should we talk about folding?
Fold it. Let's fold it.
Okay. Maybe the other camera or is this camera good?
Let's do the other one.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna move this over. And so let's say, for example, this is our fabric. And a lot of people usually have a problem with how to fold because when they go to take your, let's say this is the finished side, we work on the wrong side, and then we fold it out. So that's where our finished hemline is. But then they often wonder, what do I do with this part?
Right, exactly. That's where it gets stuck. They can all fold up the hem, but now what?
Yeah, now what? So what you have to do is actually take this and then fold it back on itself, exposing more of the fabric like this. So basically you're looking at it from this side, from the end. So this is your finished fold. It's the finished length of your hem. And this fold is where you're going to be working on, and this is your raw edge of fabric.
Right.
That you either have to overcast or do something with, or if you want to be really tricky, you could fold it under 1/4 of an inch, then fold it up, because this is usually how they show you in a lot of the books. Because this way, whenever you press it up, you have all finished edges.
That really is nice. And that little bit of extra weight on your hem is going to help it lay nicer, finish nicer. It's worth this extra step.
Yeah, especially if it's like a linen or something like what I'll often do is I'll actually take this and fold that up and then fold it up here. That's my finished length. So I have a little extra fabric in the hem. So then when I fold it down, then I'll do my blind hem.
Right. So whatever you do, you're going to finish your raw edge or fold your raw edge,
right,
and then fold it and then flip it back.
That's it.
All right. Perfect. All right. Might as well talk about feet.
Okay.
I'll talk about feet.
You talk about feet.
All right. So now the feet all look different, right? But they all do the same thing. So a lot of times they have this rudder right down the middle or really offset. So a blind hem foot is offset. Let's see if I can do this. That one side is higher than the other because when you're hemming, if you think about it, the folded side is thicker than the flat side. That's why they're offset. And a lot of times you have a little guide or a little rudder. Now, depending on the company, this may be folded a little bit, right? Or kind of looks bent. Don't unbend it, right? It's the way it's supposed to be to kind of push your fold of your fabric out of the way. Because the Bernina, like all Berninas, it's extreme looking, right? But that's the blind hem foot on the Bernina. And then this is an adjustable blind hem foot for an entry-level machine, low shank. This happens to be a Janome foot, where you have a little wheel here that will adjust the guide. So in most cases, they come fixed, right? Just where the rudder is.
Right.
And then some companies, you can get one that's adjustable.
Yeah.
That's really nice if you're doing fleece, wool, fabric that really has a lot of weight to it.
Definitely. So I would say check with your dealer or Amy to see if you could get an adjustable blind hem foot.
Exactly.
The best one.
All right, James, let's sew.
Oh, you want to sew?
I want to sew. You're it. Let's go.
Oh, okay, my turn. All right. So I got a piece of fabric that I went and pressed, and I did that 1/4 inch press down, and then of course press this. So this is my finished length of the slacks, let's say. And then I turn it back to expose that edge. Put it right under the foot. And I have the fold lining right over by that little rudder. Like Amy said, I have it lined up right there.
See how close I can get.
Oh, you're really close.
I'm really close.
And this is, like you said, a fixed rudder.
Right.
So you have to be careful with it. I would always do a test sew on a scrap of fabric. And then if I'm not biting in enough to the fold, just go to your settings on your machine, and then you can move the needle over a little bit so that it'll bite more into the fold. And then you start to sew. And what I'm doing is I'm looking right here. So I'm sure that the fabric is going by the little guide that's in there. And when I get to the end, I could take it, open it up, and I got a finished hem. Let's go back there.
Right. So basically what you want to see is just see what I did on the paper. Whoop. See, you can't see it that way. But you may have to adjust your stitch
You
width.
want little pick stitches.
Tiny pick
Yeah,
stitches.
that's what I did mine in red so that I could see it.
Right. And matching thread, you would never see that.
No,
right?
not at all.
Exactly.
And if you're doing like a Pendleton wool, it would just disappear.
Right. Wool, corduroy, anything
Fleece.
loft,
Usually,
the stitch is gonna go away.
And then once, of course, you press it, it looks a lot nicer.
Yeah. So super flat, super flush. And again, your stitch length, stitch width,
personal preference. Yep. And just to show you in the back here, I have this one. Maybe we'll zoom out a little bit. This is on a raw edge. And this is one of the reasons why you don't want to do it on a raw edge, is that you get all those loose threads kind of pulling off.
Right.
So I went and did it the way I showed you earlier, the proper way. Or a way. So I have the fold inside, so all the raw edges are tucked underneath. Still looks neat. Or you could even get a little fancy, and if you have a serger, overcast the edge first.
And if you don't have a serger, what do you got to do, Jim?
Call Amy.
Call Amy.
Easy.
We'll get you connected.
Yep. 1-800 call Amy.
Call Amy. I don't know about that.
But. So basically, I just took it and just folded it along there, and did my stitching. And press it up. Of course, if you're really kind of slick and you have a nice serger and a phenomenal dealer like Amy that could teach you how to work it, you could use the overcast stitch also as a blind hem.
All right.
And then one more.
Go for it. Go for the knit.
Because we had was it Fran who questioned about working with knits? And actually, I'm already prepped for that, because here I have like a t-shirt knit, and it's very light and kind of stretchy. And we were talking earlier about whether or not you would want to do a blind hem on this, but if you didn't have a serger, and again, call Amy, or if you didn't want to do like a twin needle, you want to do conventional,
right.
What you want to do is on your machine, there'll be usually two different types of blind hem stitches. One will have the zig and then straight stitches. The other one will have a zig and a series of little zigzags.
Right. Anytime you see zigzags, you know it's a stretch stitch.
Right.
Right. So, and I know Dinah asked the question, knits can be tricky not to have a wavy, miserable looking hem.
Yeah. And that's what, with this one too, you can see the fabric's curling. So that's going to be a little tricky to work with. And that's why I would serge it first if you have a serger. But
Lori just said you need a Bernina L890.
Oh,
we agree, Lori.
Yeah.
100%.
I need an L890. Right? So, but just to show you, here I have one where I overcasted first. And then I went and I put the right foot on. I used the knit blind hem, and this is what I got when I put it through. The whole seam is kind of curved, and if I pull it flat, it's wavy.
Yeah.
And that's the trouble with it, because a lot of times when you're playing with it, you may not intentionally do it, but you're going to probably pull on the fabric as you're trying to get it under, because sometimes it doesn't want to feed well. And you can see here where it took perfect bites, and then it took really deep bites. I even got a little pleat, and it's very frustrating. A lot of times this is what we get at home. Well, my little trick to save that would be if you go into your resource center,
your embroidery stash,
and you take a piece of stick-on wash away stabilizer, and I cut a little strip, and I just press it on the bottom of the garment. So let's say where I have my blind hem, I would take it and I would press it right along the edge of the fabric where I want to do the hem.
It automatically just sticks.
Yeah, just peel and stick. No iron. Just peel and stick. Fold it up like you normally do. And then when you overcast it, you've got a really nice looking flawless blind hem. And I'll show you right in here where I clipped out some of the stitches. You could see the stabilizer right inside. And this will wash out the first time you wash the garment.
Right. And then you'll have a beautiful hem.
And even though I use contrasting color thread, you can barely see it. So once I would wash it and press it, the stitches will disappear. And this is using red thread on a gray fabric.
Right. So it's just a little bit of fine tuning to make sure that pick barely catches the fold.
That's it.
The right weight, the right stitch. Zigzag always for a knit, straight stitch for a woven. Yep, absolutely. Okay, my turn. So what else do you use a blind hem for? Well, I'm lazy, so I use it for a lot of things. So I'm going to show you quilt binding, right? When you put a sleeve across the top of a quilt, a casing for like sheer on curtains can also be done with a blind hem. So I have this table runner here, and you can see that the binding, I'm going to stitch the binding down with the blind hem. The only thing you have to be careful for, like everything else, when you come to your miter, you're going to have to stop, turn the, move your machine and come down and turn. You're not going to be able to pivot and turn with the blind hem. That's the only thing. And so so the same thing, my binding's on, right? And my binding tail is loose, my fold. All I have to do is, right, fold it and fold it back. It's the same sequence. All right, Mr. Jim, you can flip the camera for me. Boop. So it's the same thing. I'm going to straight stitch on my binding piece, and the pick is going to come over and catch the table runner.
And it would, of course, match your binding?
It would match my binding, my threads, top and bottom. I'm going to move my needle over because I'm really close. That's my Janome 15,000 going ding, ding, ding. It's not a slot machine.
Be nice.
I know. Now you're hearing a heavier thunk because,
that's when it's going over
there's a lot of weight there, right?
Because you're getting like a fold of batting in there too, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And depending on your sewing machine, right, you can actually sew even off of it. So there is the front, right?
Wow.
Now realizing it's red threads, it's going to be a little dramatic. And there's the back. So some people may say that's acceptable, not acceptable, but it's
it works.
to each their own, right? When it comes down to that. So we got any questions? Hey, everybody, if you could hit that little arrow and get this out to as many people as possible, please share. Well, we can't say share because they'll get mad at us. The Facebook. So get it out there. Boing, 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 boing. Whatever you can do. Let's see.
I got a bonus tip.
What size are you using to attach? Size needle? I just have an 80-12 in there.
Yeah.
I don't go crazy. And that's an 80-12 to do the knit. So the only time you really need to go into a stretch needle is if you have skip stitches or a prob.
Yeah. And one thing too, when Amy was talking about the blind hem foot, what I like to do with it also is I like to use my blind hem foot to put on patch pockets. Because, when you're having an irregular weight of fabric, you can have that rudder go right along the side of the pocket. And that's where you look when you top stitch.
Right.
And just move your needle over with a straight stitch.
Because that bi-level of that foot, the two, it's offset. Yeah. You can now buy bi-level feet across all brands, which really make a difference. Putting on binding, stitching on pockets.
Top stitching.
Well, Franny, we wish you the best of recovery, girlfriend. I didn't realize you were getting your knee done. Okay. Anybody else have a question, concern?
We got a wow from Bonnie. Thank you.
Woo, Bonnie, love my girl Bonnie. All right, everybody, we'll have a terrific day because
one more thing. Because this is close up. This is close to home to me. Right. This is Expo season coming up. So if you're interested in more classes for me, just go to sewingexpo.com and you can look into the original Sewing Quilt Expo and it lists all my different classes and every city I'm going to be in. Also, don't forget the Serger box.
Right.
And our scan and cut box. You want to sign up for that. And we have a waiting list. So be sure you sign up for that early. And if you haven't already done so, please sign up on the mailing list.
Yep. Go to amysews.com. Go to amybachman.com.
Yeah.
We want to keep reaching out to everybody.
Yeah.
So
tell a friend.
Tell a friend. Is there in a game like that?
I think so.
Tell a friend. Anyway. All right, everybody. It was so great to see everybody today. Hi, Diane. After sewing sales, she was from Australia on the cruise. It was great.
Good on you, Diane.
We're working on next January's cruise. We're excited about it. So, all right, everybody, have a terrific day because the more you know,
the more you sew.